Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be discussing my move to Maryland. It's crazy. It feels like yesterday and forever ago at the same time, but it's been 7 years since my wife and I made our move from Southern California out to Maryland. I was born and raised in Southern California. She's a local here from the greater Baltimore area. So I'm going to be discussing our move. I've got a checklist and just kind of give you some ideas of what to expect, what might be helpful to focus on. Some of you may be coming alone. Some of you may be coming with a family, and it can be a pretty major, pretty major endeavor, a big move. So we're going to go over some of those things. Hopefully some of these things will be helpful, and let's get started right now. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel where we talk about all things living here in the state of Maryland. So if that's the kind of information you're looking for, make sure to hit subscribe, hit the notification bell so you're made aware of the new videos that we do each and every week where we discuss all things living here in the great state of Maryland. And if you're considering making a move here to Maryland, if you're considering purchasing a home, we absolutely love helping people, taking your calls, emails, text messages, however you prefer to reach out, days, nights, and weekends. We've got your back when moving here to the great state of Maryland. All right, so number one, and this goes without saying, is hiring movers. So for us, we thank God, my wife talked me into hiring good quality movers, and it was the best decision that we made. It made our move so much easier, especially for us coming from all the way across country. It was just the best decision that we could have made. So we definitely spent some money on it, but I remember for us, this may not be all of your situation on your move here to Maryland, but we had family here. My in-laws are here in the area, so our plan was to drive across country, and we actually shipped our stuff out before we left for our way out here in Maryland, and we shipped it out here. We had it stored in a storage unit, and it sat there for 6 months while we lived with my in-laws. We got our feet under us. My wife got her teaching job, and I ended up transferring my real estate license and kind of just got going in the real estate game out here in Maryland. So we needed 6 months to just kind of, breathe and figure stuff out before we could really, jump into the real estate market and buy a home. So, I was so scared because I thought, man, we have so much stuff. We had a lot of, decent furniture, and I was setting money aside. I'm like, man, we're going to have to replace stuff. There's just no way, some of our stuff doesn't get broken. They were explaining to me how, it was taken from our house into the truck, and then it was going to Vegas, and it was going to get transferred to an 18-wheeler. And I'm like, man, there's just no way. I was, definitely scared that after 6 months when we went to pick up our stuff, that, I was going to be dealing with, a lot of damaged things, and very, very few items were damaged. So hiring good quality movers was massive for us, especially with such a big gap. We really had no choice. So I know some people consider, not doing that, or doing more affordable options. But for us, that was massive and something that we, definitely highly recommend. So it also made our, cross-country trip so much more enjoyable. And instead of having all our stuff attached to the back of my truck, we got to make stops that we probably would not have done. So we ended up going the southern route. We did Grand Canyon. We spent some time in our first time to Texas. So we drove through Amarillo, Texas, and hung out there for a little while. We did a couple of nights in Nashville. Did their hot chicken, and spent some time downtown and going and seeing bands and doing the whole Nashville scene, and spending a little bit of time in Virginia, breaking up the drive from Nashville to Maryland, which I think was about 10 to 12 hours. So it made that part so much more enjoyable for those of you who are making a drive or whatever. That's something that we did and was very fun. And then number two is in regards to selling your existing home in order to purchase a home here in Maryland. So if this is something that you're needing to do, working with a high quality, really good communicating agent for your existing home is just massive, especially with the magnitude of the move coming from, I'm assuming a lot of you are coming from out of state, out of the area. So that just makes such a big difference. And communication in real estate when you're buying and selling homes is massive regardless. But when you're making such a big move, it becomes so much more important. I've heard one too many horror stories of people just, not having that communication and then showing up too early here in the area where they can't close on their home here in Maryland because they haven't yet settled and closed on their home out of the area. So once you close and receive your proceeds, doing a same day close here in Maryland is very easy. We're an at the table state. As soon as you sign, The keys are yours. But when you're making that move across country, it becomes so much more important to make sure you're working with people who are really good communicators, especially communicating as well with whoever you decide to work with out here in Maryland, to coordinate everything and make sure that this is as stress-free as a process for you as possible. So definitely something to keep in mind if that's going to be your situation and you're going to be having a home to sell before you can close on your home to purchase in Maryland. And then number 3 is going to be, if you have little ones, looking into childcare, looking into daycares as early as possible. So for me and my wife, when we made our move out here 7 years ago, we didn't yet have any children. We do now. We have a 1-year-old son now, which is amazing. But for us, that move didn't entail bringing, any little ones. So I can imagine how crazy it will be for some of you who are in that situation. So looking into that stuff as early as possible is huge. This is feedback that I've gotten from clients, from people here in the area that have made that move out of the area. And daycares and childcare fills up very fast, especially the high demand ones. So looking into that as early as possible is going to be definitely something that we highly suggest, so you don't get here and then start having to play catch up and finding out that the area or whatever is not going to have any good quality childcare areas. So that's something that we highly recommend that you look into as early as possible. And then I know for a lot of people, when they consider purchasing a home, a lot of their move and selection of home is going to be dictated upon schools and safe neighborhoods, which is definitely something you do want to focus on. But I have seen it limit people in the past to very few areas. And Maryland, for a lot of people, can be shockingly expensive once you start really looking in to certain areas. So some of the best schools, like in Western Howard County, Montgomery County, I mean, they're no joke. They're amazing schools, but the price tags are just unbelievable when you start looking at some of these homes. So a lot of Central Maryland does have really good schools. So hopping on greatschools.org is a website that I've talked a lot about in the past, and checking out the schools, and maybe not just the ratings, of course, taking a look at those ratings. But I have heard due to COVID, some of these ratings may be a little artificially low with dealing with remote learning and dealing with some of the redistricting that we've had in some areas. So looking at those parent reviews and seeing what other parents are saying, and seeing if these schools meet your needs based on your kids and their personalities and stuff like that, so that we can really kind of open up kind of the options for you, because so much of living here in Maryland is finding that right spot based on your lifestyle. So kind of having that conversation with you and your spouse or whoever you're moving here with, or if it's just you solo, having that conversation about what do you like to do, what things do you do on the weekends, evenings, and making sure that you can be close to those things, because getting the location right on the first time is going to be huge, especially when you're coming from out of the area. So, and then of course, we definitely want to make sure that you're finding an area with schools that are going to meet your standards, and of course be a safe area. So for me, when we first moved here 7 years ago, I was hopping online as soon as we got here, even though we were 6 months out or so, looking in different areas. I'm like, oh man, this is a great house. And then my father-in-law would jump in and be like, no, you don't want you don't want to be there. So if you have anyone that in the area, just reaching out and just asking about different locations and seeing if that will be a good fit is going to be huge. And if you don't have anyone, I'm more than happy to share my thoughts about certain areas. Feel free to reach out anytime, and just making sure that we find a spot for you that's going to meet your lifestyle, and that's also going to meet those school and safety standards that you have. All right, everyone, thanks so much for watching. I hope you learned something new. If you ever need anything at all, please feel free to reach out, and we'll see you at the next video.